welcome my Sagittarian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your work, career, vocation read for July and August 2021. I am your reader, Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle since 1998, the Archangel of Lyons, Angelo Lyons. But you can call me Mal. Can I get you some apps and cocktails to get you started? Oh, TGI Friday. Never worked. I was never in food service because if people would piss me off, I would hex their food. Which is why I'm not in food service. Let's get up in this gang, but I do want to say I went food shopping at Stop and Shop for the first time today in a year and a half, and it was lovely. I was cracking people up in the aisles. They're like, nice to see you, welcome back. I had such a good time. And I mention it because Sagittarius can be one of the most gregarious, friendly signs of the zodiac. So Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Let's talk about your life purpose in 3 levels of power: work, career, vocation. There's a link in the description box from Myss, PhD, author, medical intuitive, spiritual teacher. She's one of my absolute favorites. We're going to be using her deck here, but the link down there is for a YouTube video about the 3 levels of power. We are just applying it to life purpose, work, career, vocation, but you can see it in so many different ways. And rather than explain it, every single time, that's why I put the link there. I think it's like part 1 of 3. So if you want to go deeper into that, but suffice to say, think of 3 levels of power like scent. You have eau de toilette, cologne, perfume, right? Eau de toilette is French for water. It's watered down. Cologne is cut with alcohol, and perfume is the full deal, the 100%. So we're looking at this as work, career, and vocation, what you do to survive in the world, represented by the lower 3 chakras. Your career, your heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Sorry about that. Your passion, your hunger, your thirst, what it is that really allows your soul to express itself, your creative intuition, and the 8th chakra dynamic of your vocation, your spiritual calling, the star that calls you forward on the path. And we are going to be doing a 12-card spread here, looking at all 8 chakras, including the 8th chakra for your work, career, vocation. So it's very holographic, and I've been doing these readings for clients for decades since I learned about work, career, vocation from Myss. So even though I'm known as the true love witch, I certainly am that. Work, career, vocation has been another thing as a Virgo that I have helped, let's just say hundreds, thousands, I don't know, I don't keep track, but I've been doing this for a very long time. So, it's a general read, all that, blah, blah, blah. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Do check your other signs, right? Because what I'm finding is that in these 3 levels, there's usually one of the 3 that is your point of power or your leverage to really transform and affect or just heal the other 2. Other than that, all the decks that I read are always in the bottom of the description box. Both feet on the floor. If you can, focus on your breath. If you will, I will do the same to get you the clarity, guidance, and grace really about your life purpose, at least for what we're looking at here, 2 months, July and August. I always put the 2 months together. It's not from July to August, it's both, because this stuff does take time. Good, let's do this. Both feet on the floor. Please take a nice deep breath. I was just waiting to inhale. I'm in a really good mood today. Here we go. My collective pantheons of angels, archangels, goddesses, gods, ascended masters of life purpose through work, career, vocation, and the higher selves of all involved, 5th dimension and above, 8th chakra and above. Please, 3 Myss archetype cards. Please show us the archetypal dynamics, right? What's being alchemized from lead to gold in their work, career, vocation. We'll start with their work. Remember, the 8th chakra hovers above the physical body and really does radiate down and affect every other chakra and everything in your energy system. So please, for their work, for their career, and for their vocation. You want to take that bottom card? I'll take that bottom card. That's fine. You tell me. I'll do it. And it's a little humid today in Holbrook, New York. here on Long Island. So, you know, the cards are a little sticking together, but I'll do my best to make sure only one gets pulled. So I love saying this now. You already know what these are because they're in the title. I don't. Isn't that funny? Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. All right, you got the Scribe in work. You've got the Avenger. Which one? Be Black Widow. And in your career, and the Servant. Excellent. I mean, this is really lovely. In your vocation. All right. So you have a creative family archetype. Yeah, Scribe is creative. The Avenger, which is the action family archetype. And the Servant, which is the healing family archetype. So you've got creativity, action, and wisdom here archetypally, and that's pretty good. Right? Yeah. Sorry, the healing, if I didn't say that. You know, that's the thing. When I tune into certain signs that I don't have planets in, I really empath that, so I can feel that Sagittarian mutable fire sort of pinging around my crown chakra here. So let me read you what's on the card here. Now, every archetype is neutral, so no matter how lovely the light sounds is how toxic the dark is, and vice versa, right? Like the vampire archetype in its shadow's a fucking nightmare. But in its light, it's the vampire hunter, the vampire slayer. So the shadow attribute for the Scribe, altering facts and plagiarizing others' work. Oh, no, no, no. And don't you dare try that with Drawing the Circle. I have lawyers. Pro bono, because they love me. The light attribute, preserving knowledge and information. So, you know, that's more than just backing up something to your hard drive or the cloud. This can be everything from like scrapbooking. But if it's in your work, if this is affecting your work, it really is saying make sure you're keeping your receipts, so to speak, either literal, symbolic, or both. That you're keeping track of things, that you're writing things down, particularly if there's something a little off in your work world. Now, not everybody makes their money in their work. I don't. I'm corporate president in my work in the world. I don't get paid 1 cent for that. That's the scheduling and the production stuff and the editing of videos, which I love doing. I get paid as a teacher, a healer, and an artist in my career. And my mystic in my 8th chakra really keeps me tuned into the divine on the regular. Otherwise, I couldn't be doing this every day. So keep in mind, take notes, right? Record things in some way, shape, or form. And as a creative family archetype, I'm feeling you're going to be glad you did that. In your career, the Avenger, as we said. Oh, Hawkeye, Hawkeye, Hawkeye. The shadow attribute, I would totally go for Tony Stark. Are you kidding? Robert Downey Jr., less than 0. The shadow attribute, resorting to violence in the name of a cause. I think we know that just begets more violence at this point. Not that you can't stand up for the truth and honor and justice, and that's in this top part here. But just because you're feeling revengeful doesn't mean that you need to act on it, number 1, or number 2, that that's not part of life too. It's just those are the shadows that need to be embraced to be brought into light, because the light on this is pretty high. A desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society or oneself. And I know a lot of people get triggered by that word righteousness or righteous because of certain, let's just say, spiritual systems that overuse that word and use it to punish people, right? No fun. If it's not fun, I'm not in. But the real meaning of the word is right use. So it's the opposite of abuse, right? Abuse, right use. Abusiveness, righteousness. Just so that you keep that in mind here, and this might be stepping up for yourself, particularly if there's something unfair going on in your career, that your work in the world, the physical aspect of it, it's saying document everything. The servant, I love this. I'm a Virgo. We are the servants of the zodiac. But look, I have seen this so often, particularly in spiritual servants, right? People who serve the divine and whatever, the shadow side, using lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with your life. Who are you serving? Human can incarnate soul can but serve one master. You know, you can't serve two masters. If your service really is to the divine, and mine is, you know, but that's the thing. I am servant to the gods and slave to no man, right? Or woman, for that matter. And even that, I am their son, as are you, their son and daughter of the divine, right? We all are that within these meat suits we call bodies in this holographic projection called planet Earth. Yeah, it's very the Matrix, just not all that technology. So, you know, really keep an eye on that. Where are you saying, well, I would love to meditate more, but I can't because I have to do this and I have to do this and I don't have money to do that. And remember, using money as an excuse for, and here's an interesting, to not move forward with life. And this would be spiritually. Now, I know. I refuse to pay an excessive amount of money to go to a workshop. I'm a spiritual teacher anyway. I can find the information I need. Autodidact alert. Self-taught. But I think really the more you focus on the light attribute here, delight in serving others with a free and loving heart. But this is vocation. You know, the third level of power is not even spiritual power, it's mystical power, right? Because this is the center lane here. The second level of power is heart, third eye crown. So it's emotional, willpower, choices, decision power, mental power, and spiritual power. This is the GPS. This is about maybe being a servant to something much higher. But there might very well be some injustices and imbalances in your career, your day-to-day stuff. So just start writing things down, even if it's journaling. Even if it's just a means of expressing what you are going through. That's probably a good idea. And nowadays that you can, you know, usually record on your own camera, have at it. Sorry, on your own phone. Obviously you could record on a camera. Let's go in. We're going to do Daughters of the Moon Tarot, since we've got the 8th chakra of your work, career, and vocation, 8th chakras, I guess I should say. We are going to look at the heart, throat, third eye, crown dynamic, the feminine aspect, the yin aspect, what's going on behind your eyes, right? Please take a nice deep breath. You can even look at these as ego, personality, the soul, and the higher self, right? So many ways to look at these 3 levels of power. One more nice deep breath, please. As I call upon my goddesses of fire and the sign of Sagittarius, please. 3 cards in clarity for the Sagittarian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Watching this video, receiving this reading in their work, career, vocation. What's going on? We'll do these face down. They've got the Scribe in their work in the 8th chakra. Please leave 1 card in my hand to represent, to show us what's going on behind their eyes. Heart, third eye, crown. Yeah, these are getting a little humidified here, so please really, really focus here. What's in there? There we go. In their work. In their career. It really is an internal click when they go, that's the one. Like, no, that was 2. That wasn't it. Breathe. Yeah, in their career with the Avenger archetype, like this might very well be them standing up for themselves, laying down the law, right? Wanting very much to balance the scales of justice, balance their own energy, to speak their truth in a way that is loving and powerful as well as wise. And with that servant archetype, that feels so yummy there in the 8th chakra, like life service, you know, like planetary transformation. But it really is that delight in serving all of that with a free and loving heart. And I think that free is part of it. Like you might not be feeling so very free with all of this going on in the heart, third eye, crown dynamic. So what is the heart, third eye, crown dynamic for their calling with the servant? Let's look. And 3 major arcana cards. Okay, so there is no joke. This ain't no joke. You got the High Priestess, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Emperor. So a real balance of masculine, feminine dynamic here. And as far as the Scribe goes in your work, this is about being a channel of divine energy. What does a priest or a priestess do, right? They are vessels through which the divine works, and in this case in the world. But also we know, though it's not in this card, if you look at the traditional Rider-Waite deck, The High Priestess has a scroll in her lap, but you can't see all the words on it. You can't see all the letters on it, right? There's part of it that's covered. And I suggest that you really start writing things down. Maybe if that's just your own intuitive stuff that you keep to yourself right now. Now, if this is about some inequity, some injustice, some type of harassment in your physical world, absolutely document everything as best as you can. And check the laws in your state. Here in New York, you can record somebody without them knowing it and use it for evidence. I've done it. Yeah, people are like, I have something to say to you. I'm like, really? Like, have at it. Virgo Witch. Oh, look, a new thing. Virgo Witch. Yeah. In your career, you've got the Avenger with the Wheel of Fortune. There is definitely a turning of the wheel inside of you. It is time. The Life Weaver, the Spider Woman. Was that Jessica Drew? Spider Woman. Thank you, Marvel Comics. The Weaver. That your fate and your destiny is going on right now inside of you. There are some changes going on. Everything very interconnected. And what I'm getting here is that any injustice that's going on here is part of the divine plan too. People say, what? How can injustice be part of a divine plan? Well, when a bone breaks and then heals, the side of the bone, once healed, is stronger than it was before it broke, right? So until things break for us, so to speak, laws, the imbalance of injustice, until that really comes to us to a point where it affects us, and in this case personally, then we activate these archetypes that are different soul powers to help us do that. In this case with the Avenger, that makes sense. It is time. But in your career, certainly a web isn't won, and a web isn't woven in 10 seconds, right? That can take some time, some deliberation, thread by thread, and there is this feeling that, you know, the stuff you can't change, that's called fate. What you do with it to transform it is called destiny. Yeah, so there's something very on the table here about your destiny, about who you were born to be in this life, and I don't mean your name, rank, and serial number. I mean in terms of the real embodiment of your spirit, your truth, particularly with the Servant, with the Emperor. Now I will say in Daughters of the Moon Tarot, it is a feminist deck, so that we have a masculine, a male energy here, the Dion, Pan. It is a combination of the Emperor and the Hierophant. They fuse those two cards together, and I'm okay with that, because there are definite similarities between those two in terms of structure, right? Where the Emperor is, yes, controlling, hopefully in a healthy way, you know, scheduling that, putting that there. They don't necessarily do the grunt work, but they delegate. And the High Priest, the Hierophant, of those stages of spiritual growth or commitment or, you know, earning degrees in school. So I feel like you've got this wisdom inside of you, and this certainly speaks both to the throat chakra and the third eye, about really, with this Servant, really seeing, right, I didn't just come in to serve these people. I came not even just to serve humanity. I came in to serve all of life. Animal, vegetable, mineral life, crystals if you're there, you know, vibrational beings, blah, blah, blah. So to do that with an open, free, and loving heart can be very, very delightful, because that puts everything else here in context, right? So whatever it is, this injustice that's going on, maybe with that Priestess and the Scribe in your work in the world, it might be just channeling energy at them. You know, I'm a witch, I'm a professional witch. The best curse I know, and I'm not kidding, like, I was trained well. I was really, really trained well to both bless and curse. You have to know how to heal, to hex to know how to heal. It's the same movement of energy. The intention is different, but watch this. May you heal. Because what's it like to heal, Sag, right? Not the easiest thing in the world. It can be incredibly painful. And I don't mind if that one comes back. May you heal. I'm doing it every day, because every day is a winding road, but we get a little bit closer. Did I mention the crow is one of my spirit animals? Oh, technically a totem. The Cheryl Crow. Please take a nice deep breath. I'll be sending a letter to God. Here we go. What's going on in the physical dynamic here, or at least something dealing with the root sacrum solar plexus chakras, right? Your physical interaction or your interaction with the physical world. Please take a nice deep breath. This is often you from the outside looking in on a horizontal plane, or you looking out at the physical world. Something here, again, horizontal plane. So I call upon my gods of fire. And the sign of Sagittarius, Zeus in particular, sits solo in the throne of Sagittarius for me, please. 3 cards in clarity, my king, my emperor. 3 cards, please, for the Sagittarian collective. Sun, moon, rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading. What's going on there with the scribe and the high priestess in their work? There's the external part of it. Root sacrum solar plexus in their career. The Avenger with life weaver, the wheel of fortune on the inner. What's going on there on the outer? And in their vocation, the servant with the emperor. And again, it can be emperor, hierophant, and I'm going to say because it's calling, it's probably more the hierophant than the emperor, but there definitely needs to be practical application. And if we see that as the hierophant, well, then they've got the high priest and the high priestess. Interesting, the juxtaposition, though, because you would expect to see the high priest, the masculine aspect in the physical, and the high priestess in that yin spiritual. So yeah, please clarify what's going on. External world, root sacrum solar plexus in their vocation. Okay, well, you got a double whammy. We'll get there. All right, so you got the scribe. Scribe archetype, write stuff down, create a family archetype, while certainly channeling what's going on in and through you, allowing the divine to work through you, keeping your secrets, because you got 8 of Cups. Now, 8 of Cups in this deck is Psyche before she's turned into a goddess, already married to Eros. Aphrodite's like, you want my son back? You got to run some errands for me. She's headed down into the underworld to get some rapid wrinkle repair from the goddess Persephone, right? It's a long myth, but it is a good myth. So yeah, sure, walking away from something that was emotionally dissatisfying. I don't know necessarily that you're letting on that you're doing that with that high priestess inside, but you are certainly taking notes, right? In some way, shape, or form, at least hopefully of your own experience, because you might really, if we really see this pan card as not just the emperor, but the hierophant, then you're bringing through some real clarity, some real spiritual truth here, at least for yourself. So this can, yes, be walking away from something literally physically, or it can be walking into yourself, going into your own personal underworld. Now, people are afraid of the underworld. That's where the Elysian fields are. That's where the Isles of the Blessed are, where you don't have to reincarnate anymore. It's sort of like, I don't know, post-grad, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And it really is going up into the 8th chakra. Like, where do you go when you die? When you croak? You don't really die. Your soul is immortal and eternal. It doesn't go down, it goes up, right? It's sort of like those collapsible camping cups. If they still make those, instead of collapsing it this way, it folds up that way, right? So you can go there, and I just talked about this in a video that I did last week, or a week before that, a preface to the soulmate readings, a line from A Course in Miracles, which interestingly enough is the lesson that I have today in the workbook. I will be still an instant and go home. But the home they're talking about there is not about where you grew up as a kid or your current address. It's about the home that we all are from, and in truth never really left. We're playing a game down here. We just forget it's a game and we get caught up in it. And I think here in your career, right, balancing the scales of justice with this fate, destiny, alchemy going on inside of you, with the Queen of Wands, it may very well be time for you, the Leo card. I mean, literally, there's a lion on the card. I love mythic tarot, not just the Greek myth, but Juliet Sharman Burke in the workbook, not the book that came with the deck, but she has a workbook that really taught me the zodiacal signs for the knights, the queens, and the kings. Cardinal, fixed, and mutable. You put them in each element. There you go. So it's none of this, oh, all 3 fire signs. Not the way I read. And nor does this have to be a Leo person. This could be certainly somebody with Leo energy, regardless of their planets and placements, that is inspiring. That is that fixed fire that is very focused, very creative, 5th house dynamic, right? Leo energy, creativity, good fortune, pleasure. So there's something warm, yummy, and lovely here. And if this is somebody in your horizontal view, so to speak, then this is somebody who can really inspire you and perhaps even help you achieve that balance, that justice you're looking for in your heart, third eye, crown, passion, hunger, thirst, career. But if this is you from the outside looking in, regardless of Leo placements, then this is saying you are ready to create. You are certainly ready to put things into action here because it's time. This really feels like somebody who's just like making sure they're taking their contacts with them before they leave the job that they're doing to be much more creative and active in their career. And it does, now I'm going to say artistic, creative, but people forget what that means. You can bring your art and creativity to anything, right? As long as it's feeding your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. Maybe not all 4 every day, but it's certainly time for that. And this is about you achieving your destiny in your career. But you're being handed fate, and it feels like the fate that you're dealing with is in the realm of work, no matter what it is that you do in the world. And I said you had a double whammy, didn't I? Well, you got the servant with the Emperor Hierophant, as you feel that with the second Wheel of Fortune card. This is the Fates, weaving fate. But the Fates knew that, everybody's going to get to where they're supposed to get exactly on time. Those places in between, we got a lot of free will. You can't avoid your fate. You can suffer your fate, or you can manifest your destiny if you take the hero's journey, if you do the work. And I don't mean the work here. I mean the work. And in this case, certainly, from the outside looking in, with that High Priestess there and your first level of power, you are really getting, I came in to do something much larger. It doesn't necessarily mean grandiose larger, but to widen your perspective, to see it from the 8th chakra, that it is time. You're feeling it's time in your heart, throat, third eye, crown, probably more heart and third eye, to really start expressing yourself in some way, shape, or form, but in service to something so much higher, really playing a major role with that Emperor / Hierophant there, but getting that, even your calling column, if you want to call it that, is saying it is time. The iron is hot, strike. Now, not that it won't heat up again if you just can't do it right now. I understand that. Extenuating circumstances being what they are. But even your extenuating circumstances are written into the plan. Everything's written into the quantum, ineffable divine plan. And certainly go watch Good Omens. Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett. It's on Amazon Prime, whatever it's called. I got Amazon Prime, well, for the free shipping, as well as for specifically for that, because I read the books like decades ago. The book, Good Omens, brilliant. The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter, which brilliant work, right? And really, someone who all of her prophecies were completely accurate. I love Terry Pratchett. I'm finishing up listening to the audiobook Thief of Time, which is just brilliant. I love Susan Stohellett, great character, granddaughter of death. Yeah, this is very potent. So let's get your last 3 down. The Healing Mantra deck by Matt Kahn. The healing mantras, you can do them all 3 of these at once. You can focus on each one individually, but it's almost like the name, it is the names of the mantra, which is different than the other side, which has the mantra itself. You put those 3 together, sometimes it forms the exact situation that you're in. You might have to juxtapose and juggle them around a bit. But then the mantras, you get like this mantra paragraph if you put them together. So let's see what the Ascended Masters have to say. Please breathe. I'm hearing Sanat Kumara. There's a name I haven't heard in forever. Wow, okay, please, right, all those Venusians, please, my ascended masters of life purpose, work, career, vocation, what are the perfect healing mantras for the Sagittarian collective? Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading in their work, career, vocation. They've got the Scribe in the 8th, High Priestess on the inner, 8 of Cups on the outer. What's their mantra? In their career, they've got the Avenger in the 8th, Wheel of Fortune on the inner, Leo energy on the outer. And in their vocation, they've got the Servant in the 8th, Pan, the Emperor Hierophant in on the inner, Wheel of Fortune again in the outer. They're only double whammy here. What's their perfect healing mantra? For, no, that did not feel right. One more time. Just one card, please. Their perfect healing mantra for their vocation. No, they keep doing that, which means there's more than one mantra that would work here, but I'm not reading from the bookie book that comes with it on these times. These are long enough. So really, what is their perfect healing mantra for their vocation? Thank you very much. You know, they wanted me to be very precise about that. Yeah. Well, I'm going to read the titles across, and I think you'll get what I mean. Overcoming fear in your work, befriending pain in your career, and discovering happiness in your vocation. This feels like someone who's going through, if not the great big huge spiritual awakening that the masses seem to be going through. You might be doing this for a while, but certainly you're going through an upgrade here. So the Scribe, the High Priestess, so think of it, the Scribe energy coming down through the High Priestess while you, 8 of Cups, walk into the self and away from something, overcoming fear. I will transcend every loss. Yeah, you're walking away from something. At least the interest has waned to the part that there is already loss in play here, hence you are being driven inside. But I think really if this is the loss of a job, whether, you know, fire or quit or layoff or whatever, that you really make sure your paperwork is in order. Like, read your contract if there is one, right? And even if this is, you know, your work in the world, it might be in your home. I don't necessarily mean self-employed, but if you're self-employed, that as well. Like, what are the contracts that I've made to the people in my life? It feels like there needs to be not just a pulling back here, but a real getting that there is no gain without loss, and no loss without gain, no death without rebirth, no crucifixion without resurrection, no going to ashes without rising from them in this world. So I get that. So really, yes, tune into your intuition, sure, with the High Priestess there, but you gotta step away from something, at least energetically, at least emotionally, to really focus on your internal life. And here's your internal life, right? The Avenger, Wheel of Fortune, it's time. Leo energy, befriending pain. When discomfort becomes a friend, my most limiting beliefs are healed. Now, not my favorite mantra in this deck, but when I am in physical pain, emotional pain, I don't know how much of mental pain I'm in on the daily, but you know, I got lower back stuff that is really, someone stepped out of my life and my lower back pain went away. I was like, oh, a little vampire coming in around the back there. But those voices of pain, if you are an empath, and now I'm learning, I should have known this as a Virgo, I'm not just an intuitive, emotional empath. I'm a visceral empath. So a lot of the physical pains I'm feeling are actually other people's stuff, which is why I wear my jewelry when I do this, sort of like filters, right? My amulets, my talismans, my touchstones, totems, and tools. So yeah, I mean, when you really get that, when you befriend your discomfort, because hating it just inflames it even more, your most limiting beliefs are healed, particularly the idea that you are a body. You're not. None of us are. No one is a body. These meat bag bodies that we have, it's a disrespectful. I don't mean to be disrespectful of the human form. It's a beautiful, functional thing and serves a higher purpose. But when we over-identify with it, we get attached. We can't not come out of fear when we believe we're a body. Even the Course in Miracles says, really, you're either body identified or spirit identified, nowhere in between. But there is a process of turning the other cheek from one to the other. Am I just giving you Course in Miracles and New Testament? Of course I am. So, they're sending me the info. So, befriend your pain. And I do feel like this is more psychological pain, right? That whatever's going on in your physical world, in terms of your work here that you're stepping away from, it's really not about the physical world. It's about stuff that you are healing. Pain that has been in your heart, throat, third eye, crown, maybe since childhood. That's just how it works. So be careful with this revenge thing. One form of revenge people don't realize is hurting yourself to show other people, see what you did to me? Yeah, it's toxic. Boogie, oogie, oogie. I should have went Britney Spears. I didn't. I went Electric Slide. I apologize. That you want to balance the scales of justice within yourself. Bring yourself into justice. And if you do need to speak your truth with the Leo. I get that. But do understand that if somebody steps on your landmine, it was your landmine. You might have not known it was there. Now you do. And that's what this scribe might be about really writing down, what am I really healing here? Not so much from the intellectual place, but maybe with that Leo card, expressing it in a way that is healthy and balanced. And by the way, it is time for it. As we look here in your vocation, the servant archetype, Emperor Hierophant on the inner, right? It is time. You get the decision. Will I suffer my fate by not doing, not necessarily action-oriented, necessarily doing anything, but just by ignoring it, right? Which just means it's going to repeat. And that's not bad. That's not wrong. That's just the game, right? Course in Miracles. I'm giving you a lot of Course in Miracles today, guys. It says, free will does not mean that you get to choose the curriculum. It means you get to choose what you want to take in a curriculum at any given time. So this is saying it's time. Iron is hot here. You can suffer your fate and go around this wheel again and do this lesson again. But it does feel like if you kind of stand up for yourself here and get that I'm just here to serve humanity and I'm nobody's slave. I'm a servant. Thank you very much. A servant of the divine. And I say this to people all the time. Got a problem with me? Take it up with my bosses. Take it up with the board of directors called the Olympian gods and the choirs of archangels. No, you won't. Be like, okay, I'll let it go. What do you got there? Here's your leverage. Your leverage is in your vocation here. Discovering happiness. I allow myself to be content exactly as I am. And in that, to say, yeah, I am a servant, but I am being guided. I do have the power, He-Man, She-Ra, take it as it resonates, right? And it is time for me to fulfill my destiny, to fulfill my calling. Yes, there is certainly creative expression here in terms of career, no question, but it feels like your work in the world here. You have to overcome your fear of loss. Everybody has the wound of loss. There's abuse, neglect, codependence, and loss, the 4 ego wounds. Well, maybe you were abused, maybe you weren't. Maybe you were neglected, maybe you weren't. Maybe you've been in codependent contracts, maybe you weren't. I don't know anybody like that. But no one gets away without the wound of loss because it's part of the cycle, right? So you might have to let go of some identities here in the world. But that scribe archetype is just screaming to me. It's either for some of you, keep your receipts, write everything down, right? Take your contacts list if you're walking away from a literal physical job in the world, right? Or certainly record if there's any hanky at panky going on in some way, shape, or form, so that you can really walk away from this serving justice. Let me put it all together for you. Please take a nice deep breath. We're going to do them in reverse order here. My collective pantheons of the divine, please. May the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs watching this video, receiving this reading, be blessed with all that they need in their work, career, vocation, that they may find delight in serving others with a free and loving heart, with that Emperor, Hierophant, Pan energy inside of them, really downloading and putting into action aspects of their vocation that others might not know about, following their calling, because the wheel of fortune, it certainly is time. And they have the decision to suffer their fate or achieve their destiny by doing their own healing work within themselves, discovering happiness, that they allow themselves to be content exactly as they are, because there's nothing wrong here. It's all part of the divine plan, actually confirmed twice. That in their career, that they have the desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness, right-useness on behalf of society or themselves, because it's time for them to do that. And as within, so without. As with the self, so with the world. With that Wheel of Fortune Spider Woman, the Life Weaver, brought around again with some sort of Leo energy, either somebody in their life, a creative partner or collaborator, or this is their own light shining, their own fixed fire, their own creativity, their own good fortune coming into the world while they befriend pain, getting that when discomfort becomes a friend, their most limiting beliefs are healed, so that in their work they will preserve knowledge and information, particularly that which they are intuitively guided to, as well as what is coming through them, while they, Eight of Cups, walk into themselves and away from something else, overcoming fear, because they will transcend every loss. So they will transcend every loss. When discomfort becomes a friend, their most limiting beliefs are healed, and they allow themselves to be content exactly as they are, so that they may heal, they may grow, they may bring these 8 chakras, work, career, and vocation, into alignment, in service to themselves, to their friends, to their families, to their communities, as well as to all of life, for the well-being of all, and with harm to none, as we will it, so let it be done. So mote it be, and so it is. Yeah, good read. Boogie down. Do 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 do. I gotta say, this is really your dominant, your point of power, your leverage is in the 8th chakra. Get up in there. Crown chakra's penthouse, 8th chakra's satellite, and you'll see a bigger picture how every piece of service that you do affects the quantum. This is true of all of us, but that to really bring things into balance here and record it as you go is just a wise thing to do. So, if you want to book me for a read, find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Mark Angelo Lyons in Holbrook. Easy to find. I look like this in my profile picture. Not wearing this particularly in that picture. And check out my book, Words of Grace, because I wrote that when my career was falling apart. Really, a dark night of the soul, horrible time. But those prayers, it's very interesting. That's kind of exactly what I did. I walked away from something, had to overcome my fear, my wounds of loss, wrote down, scribed literally the prayers of grace. So there's a link for the description box there too, on Kindle, $9.99, cheaper than a pack of cigarettes. So go preview it. I dedicated it to my mom, who I cannot wait to see. Her birthday is next week, so I'm gonna go see her beginning of August, I think. Not that you care, but you should. Anyway, wishing you all the very best and the very blessed, my hunters, my Sagittarius asses. Good luck with all of this, and reach out if you need a read. I'm easy enough to book. Hail, farewell, and blessed be.